This is what my 146k CP Cypher can do in wargames. When you're surrounded by multiple players, your build has to do more than just look good on the CP screen. It has to actually perform. Today, I'm breaking down exactly how I built my Cypher, what stats I'm prioritizing, what gear I'm using, and why I'm building it this way. And this is the only beginning of the Cypher project. Right now, my Cypher is level 71 with around 146.9 KCP. This character has been a work in progress and I've been testing the build heavily in wargames. The goal isn't simply to push the highest CP number possible. The goal is to build a Cypher that can deal a massive AoE damage while still being effective when the fight gets chaotic. And that's what we're going to do with this series. We're going to build, test, upgrade, and eventually push the Cypher towards 150k CP and beyond. So, what is this build designed for? First, AoE damage. Second, wargames. Third, survivability. And fourth, CP progression. Before I show you all the numbers, you need to understand what this build is actually designed to do. My main focus is AoE damage. I want to be able to hit multiple players at once and put pressure on groups during wargames. But there's a problem. If you build purely for damage and you can't survive long enough to use the damage, the build isn't going to perform. So I'm trying to find the balance between damage, consistency, and survivability. Stats. As of now, I have 2,160 total attack. I have 2,057 defense, about 1,600 AQ, and 1,153 evasion. So these stats are mainly focused on attack and survivability. So first off, we'll start with my offensive stats. This is one of the areas I'm prioritizing right now because my entire build revolves around dealing damage to multiple targets. But I don't want to blindly stack one stat just because it increases CP. I'm looking at how the stats actually translate into damage during combat. So these are the stats I'm currently prioritizing. So one is of course attack and force attack. Currently my attack is 1314, my force attack is around 240. Next is critical hit rate and force crit rate. What we want is to ensure that we're hitting hard, and for us to hit hard, our attacks needs to crit first. Next is about crit hit damage and force force crit damage boost and crit damage boost. Now, when your attacks crit, it has to have a high multiplier. That's why this is important. And lastly, what I'm focusing on is skill damage boost. Why skill damage boost? Because Cypher is mostly skill based, and therefore our skills should hit hard. And when our AOE skill is released, we have to ensure that we're making the most damage. And so, here's what it looks like in actual combat. Now, let's talk about survivability. This is something I don't want to ignore. In war games, you're going to get focused, especially when you're dealing damage to multiple players. So if I can increase my damage but I die before I can use my AoE, that's not necessarily an upgrade. The goal is to survive long enough to actually use the damage I've built. This is exactly why survivability matters to this particular build. So for survivability, we have to focus on our defense. We need to get this as high as we can. And of course, evasion. The goal for evasion is at least 1,500 to 1,600 because mostly the lower level players are the accuracy is only about 1,300 to 1,500 or 1,600 accuracy. And for our miscellaneous, lastly, you want to focus on FP regen, and currently I'm on 332. FP cost is only at 284, and my FP regen rate is about 332. So next, I will show you my gears. So there's nothing special about my gear, but we'll focus on the weapon. As you know, in MMORPG, the weapon is your priority. That's why I prioritize this uh, into making this as a prime weapon. Just make sure to over ups your epic items to ensure that you would have a higher CP and higher defense. As for the weapon, this will ensure that you would have a higher attack and higher accuracy so that when you release your skills, when you release your attack, you will hit hard and it will hit your target. Next is the artifacts. All my artifacts are in plus 10 for Dimension Cube, Hypersensor, Quantum Disc, and Psionic Capsule. The reason why I prioritize in making this plus 10 is because of the additional skills that you will get from this. So for Quantum Disc, this will give you additional damage. For Hypersensor, this will give you Hyper Shield, which will give you survivability. For Dimension Cube, this will give you Rapid Force Charge, in which you will increase your FP regeneration. And for Psionic Capsule, you'll get the skill Narrow Escape of Death, which will give you higher HP regeneration. Next, I will show you my Talic. So as for my Talic, currently for my weapon, I'm using critical hit rate and max attack hit rate. I want to ensure that my attack would crit, and uh, it would achieve the highest damage for my attacks. For my neck, I'm using fixed skill damage. Since we're mostly skill based. For chest guard, I'm using an epic level 3 defense and an epic level 1 defense. For my lower guard, I'm using HP regen. But when I join PvP or war games, I switch it to fixed skill damage resist. For the arm guards, I'm using epic level 3 Talic of Hate and epic level 2 Talic of Hate. For cut resistant leg guards, I'm using evasion Talics. This will increase our evasion, which would help us with more survivability. Oh, by the way, for my Cypher, I've already unlocked the rare weapon skin, and this is the weapon skin I'm currently using. It gives additional attack, additional accuracy, and additional debuff resistance. You can get this, guys, by the way, in your guild raid events. So I'm hoping that you will be able to get uh, the weapon skin for your class. Now we get to one of the systems I think RF Next players really shouldn't ignore: the ID card. This is part of my overall stat progression, and I'm constantly looking for ways to improve it. Here's where my ID card is currently at. Currently, my Korra is SR1, my Belato is SR7, and my Akasha is SR8. And these are the stats that I'm getting from it. And as you can see, we have about skill damage boost of about 15%, which would give us, which would ensure that our skills would hit hard. We have about 175 crit rate. And for our active effects, this will give us an additional 2% crit damage boost. 34 attack, and about 62 critical hit rate. And as I continue upgrading this, I'll be testing exactly how much difference it makes to my Cypher. I'm actually going to dedicate an entire video to my Cypher ID card setup because there's a lot more to this than just increasing the enhancement number. Next, I will show you my Mao and launcher. And to me, guys, this is the most overlooked by most RF Next players. They just don't see how much stat that this would give your character and how much CP this would help increase if you maximize this. This gives me around 5.5 crit damage boost. For my launcher, it's the same as well. Currently, I'm using the Legend launcher and the Legend Mao. What's good with this, if you're able to finish this or if you're able to craft a new launcher or a new Mao, you will get additional stat from this, like additional attack boost 1%, additional defense boost 1%, additional PvE damage boost by completing the launcher Cadmos IC crafting. So I believe those are one of the overlooked aspects of getting your CP higher, getting more stats. So I will dedicate more videos regarding Mao and launcher and strategies on how you can get more launcher upgrades. So watch out for that video, guys. Talk about what makes this build fun, the AoE. This is the part of the Cypher that I really enjoy. When players or monsters group together in the field or during war games, that's when this build can really start to shine. But using AoE effectively isn't just about pressing the biggest skills. Positioning matters, timing matters, and knowing when to commit and when to back off can make a huge difference. So let me show you my skills. So I have the Cypher has two AoE skills. That's Combat 3 and Combat 5. Actually, there's more, but you need at least I believe it's Combat Skill 7. So for now, this is a bit far from me, but eventually we'll be able to get this and we'll have at least three skills that are AoE, and that will make this build more fun. But as of now, these two are very crucial. This gives you a lot of damage for both PvE and PvP. But what's good with this, with skill 4, if you're able to max this to plus 12, this will give you an additional 35% PvE damage boost, an additional 220 force crit rate, and an additional 12% force crit damage boost. Although it's just 18 seconds, you you will be able to maximize that 18 seconds with the amount of damage that you would be doing. So one more that you should get is the Awakening skill. I believe this came from the Bellato contribution shop, and this is amounting to about 200,000 Bellato coins. Why this is important, or why this skill is important, I'll show you in the next video. But as of now, this gives you an additional skill damage boost of about 12.6% and about skill damage reduction of about 12.6%. Okay, so enough looking at the numbers. Let's see what the build actually does. This is exactly why I built the character around AoE pressure. The goal is to be able to create this kind of impact when multiple players are grouped together. But guys, here's the thing. This build is not yet finished. There are still areas where I want to improve. The biggest thing I'm looking right now is increasing my evasion and increasing my accuracy. I want to see if I can improve that without sacrificing the AoE damage that makes this build work. I want to increase my survivability, and in terms of my skills, I want to get the epic skill from Akasha, which is the emergency armor, which is a passive skill of Psypher. This skill will give us invulnerability for about 6 seconds, which can help us more with our survivability, especially when we're surrounded by our enemies. So that's going to be the one of the goals for the next stage of the Cypher project. So this is where we're starting. 146.9k CP. But I'm not stopping here. The next major goal is 150k CP, and I'm going to document the upgrades, the mistakes, the tests, and the wargames battles along the way. And there's one thing I want to break down next, which stats actually matter the most for Cypher. Because increasing CP doesn't automatically mean your character is going to perform better. And in the next video, I'm going to break down my Cypher stats and explain what I'm prioritizing and why. But I want your opinion, guys. If you had my 147k Cypher, what would you upgrade first? Would you focus on more damage, more survivability, more AoE, or something completely different? So drop your level, your CP, your class in the comments, and tell me what you'd change. If you're playing RF Online next and you want to follow this Cypher from 146.9k CP all the way to 150k and above, make sure to subscribe to Daddy Drew Gaming. We're going to build it, test it, break it, upgrade it, and take it into war games. This is only the beginning of the Cypher project. I'll see you in the next one, guys.